Hi, Ross and Marcio.
Ross and Marcio.
Ross and Marcio.
Marcio and Ross.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
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 On 100 episodes.
100
episodes
of Bridge the Atlantic.
I hope you enjoyed your telegram from the Quaid.
100 episodes. Wow.
Man, that's amazing.
Amazing.
Holy shit!
I really didn't think you'd make it this far.
That is incredibly impressive.
That is not a small feat.
Very few podcasts ever get there.
Incredibly inspiring.
That is a big, big win.
You guys kick booty.
And I'm so proud of you guys.
So proud of you guys.
So pumped for you guys.
Let's just keep this thing going forever.
We love you guys so much.
Couldn't happen to two better people.
You guys have been consistent.
The work you do is amazing.
Thank you for your support of the music community.
Thank you for doing what you guys do.
Keep rocking it.
I love Bridge the Atlantic.
I never miss an episode.
Congratulations, you guys.
To 100 more.
We love you guys. Wow.
Hope they've been a lot of fun to make as they are to watch.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is part
sorry to
two.
leave you hanging so long.
This is part 2 of our holiday special slash 100 episode plus special slash recap look back at the last 2+ years slash whatever else you want to add.
Hot mess? I don't know. It's kind of where I'm thinking this is. But you know, hot mess is a beautiful mess or something.
Really?
Who knows?
What are you even doing? Do you even know what you're doing? You know what? Sometimes I don't even think we know what we're doing. We just kind of go with it.
That's part of our charm, I guess.
That's kind of like, that's why I like when we get guests that just talk. And like sometimes it's difficult when we get guests that just talk because, you know, then we end up with like an hour interview we need to cut down to about a half hour, which anyone who's been listening from the beginning has realized that some of our first interviews were like an hour long. And, you know, we started realizing.
I think we just didn't know, we didn't really know how to kind of just cut stuff out. Like, we physically knew how. Like Marcio knows how to edit. He knows how to cut bits out. But we just didn't know how to identify which bits were really good and which bits weren't. And we tended just to cut the bits out that that someone made a mistake or if a guest was like, actually that didn't come out right. Can you cut that out? And we would take that out. But now I think we're much more focused on the quality. And it's just a case of we know, sometimes even doing the interview, we know which parts are gonna go and which parts are gonna stay.
Well, if anyone watches the web show version of our show, sometimes you might see while the interview's going, I'm going like, you know, click, 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 and Ross is doing that. And we actually, we shouldn't give away all our secrets.
We type secret messages to each other.
But we actually do. We have we use Google Documents actually to, we have our scripts on there, and the script isn't as strict as you think. Basically, you clearly know that the intro to our interviews is scripted because we just want to make sure. I know. Because we just want to make sure that, you know, especially if it's a new listener or a new viewer, that they know who we are, you know, and we can quickly just let them know where to find us online. And we do want to have all the info right on our guests. So we do, and I say we, but it's actually Ross that does most. He does all the research. I help with the.
Sometimes he gets it wrong.
Sometimes he does get it wrong, which is humorous. But you know, Ross does all the research on the guests. Actually, he does a really fine job at that. But anyway, so we have that scripted, and we do have just kind of point form of certain things we want to talk about with the guests. But
we just want to make sure we don't forget the important stuff.
Yeah, we also don't want. There have been guests that don't talk a lot, so we're like 10 minutes in, we're like, oh. What else do we talk about? So, you know, having those points just help us to give us a guideline so that we have things to talk about. Sometimes we don't talk about
you see people interviewing on TV, they've got their little cards, and it'll just be, I don't know, I've never seen the actual content of the cards, but I'm assuming that they're just like bullet point things of mention this, remember this, and you know, that kind of stuff. And that's essentially what our notes are.
That's all it is. Well, it's typically we've refined it over the last 2+ years, but it's really just like, you know, we introduce ourselves, introduce the guest, and jump right into the 3 questions or 3 things everyone should know about you. Excuse me. And we really just have like 3 or 4 points of things that we want to talk about that we think our audience would be most interested in hearing about, you know, and oftentimes we skip the advice if we're running late, you know, and, you know, we always pop in the 20 questions in there. We have a general, it's taken us 2+ years to get a format that we're kind of happy with that allows us to have an interview that's about a half hour long. Because that's what I was saying earlier, we would have interviews that were so long and we kind of didn't really know how to guide the guest a little bit, I think. You know, that's because ultimately we really just want to have a conversation. right? But even a good conversationist, like if that's the word, conversationist, is that a thing? I don't know.
Conversationalist, I think.
Conversationalist. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Conversationalist will actually when you having a conversation with someone, you do have, if that person's talking, you're thinking, oh, I really want to ask them this, or, you do kind of log that. So this just helps Ross and I to communicate back and forth and have a guideline. Like we really are authentically just having a conversation. And oftentimes Ross might give me a look because we're going over time. Actually, this is like with Garth Richardson's interview, because I was just so interested in everything he had to say, and we kept going on. So that's like, when it comes out, it'll be a 30-minute interview or so, hopefully. But it was actually nearing an hour that we spoke to him, because he was just he had a lot to share and a lot of interesting things to say, which you can't really shut someone up when they're sharing so much wisdom.
No, not really. And actually, speaking of Garth, it's probably the ideal time to slot.
I was setting it up for a nice little segue there, and you know what?
You're getting better at these old segues.
We should probably point out here, this is actually a perfect example of what sometimes happens, is Ross has just gone to become a complete pixelated mess. This sometimes happens, and his quality is just diminished, and this has happened. You might notice that some earlier interviews, Ross is just, there was one interview, I don't remember who it was.
Jason Tate.
The
one where Ross is a pixelated mess. Yeah.
Ross is literally just like 10 pixels. It's ridiculous.
But Jason did tell me it was the best pixelated conversation he's ever had.
It was so bad I couldn't even see your facial expression.
I know, it was terrible.
Anyways, back to Garth Richardson. This is our little game that we played with him. Check it out.
Ready?
Here we go.
I got a Beatles wig. I got a actual remote control tank that actually shot missiles. And the other one was I got a bicycle.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
The Beatles wig, was it any Beatle in particular?
Paul.
And did you wear it proudly?
Yes, I did. Of course I did. Yes.
Did you wear it while you were riding your bicycle?
Different times.
Different times. Okay. Yeah. I'm good.
What kind of bicycle was it?
I'm just going to refer to my notes.
It was It was one of those, but like the actual high handlebars, and seats.
Okay.
It was gold.
This is gonna be like one of those like game shows. Ross and I are gonna like deliberate to each other. So Ross, I think that
Marcio, you and I are competing. So
I know. I thought this time we were together, but okay, fine. Why is it always a competition with you, Ross?
It brings us together in joy, but we're still competing.
Well, my opinion is that the second one is real. That he was very confident about that second one.
Which one was that? The tank?
The tank, because he was talking about it shooting out, everything like that. I felt the detail was very natural. I'm torn between the wig and the bike. I mean, maybe it's not a bike because it seems so likely that kids get bikes, but maybe Garth was more interested in being in the studio than riding a bike.
Okay.
So that wig though, I don't know.
Controversy.
Yeah, Ross, do you want to go first, or what? What are you thinking?
I'm actually going to say that the tank doesn't exist.
Okay, so
I don't think the tank
he doesn't think the tank exists, and I don't think that. Oh man, this is tough. I'm gonna say that the bike doesn't exist.
You win.
Me?
Yes.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
See, I thought you were a bit quick. When you said the bike, it was from a different time of your life. I thought that was a very quick answer for that to be a lie.
Yeah, but what you said was that you said the wig and the bike together. I would have gotten both.
I thought from the beginning that the bike was not, because he was very confident about the first two, and the third he kind of hesitated.
Well, I had to think a bit. Yeah.
So okay, that's one for the good guys.
The good guys.
You're going down, Ross. Finally, I won.
You go win something sometime.
Well, yeah, I never win the Ross or Marcio, so I mean, at least I got that one right.
Yeah, I mean,
that one was obvious. I thought, like, it was so clear. He was so confident about the first two. Last one, he was kind of, hesitating a little bit. Just saying. I mean, some of us are more observant than others, I guess, is what it really. But yeah, on to or back to some of our favorite moments. I know that there's somebody that you were really excited to interview, and I wasn't actually familiar with her work, but I completely fell in love with her. She was not only great as an artist, but as a person. It was Rachel.
Rachel Yamagata.
Yeah?
Yeah, I know. Oh, she was awesome.
Wasn't she?
She surpassed my expectations, I think, and just how fun and friendly she was.
She was so lighthearted. She was so sweet and positive.
Yeah,
I loved it.
She was great. And it was really interesting to hear about how she's gone from the major label thing to the independent thing and the challenges that kind of come with that, but how she's very open about the challenges and she's kind of embracing them and making the most of the situation. And I really, really like that. And yeah, she was really awesome. I really enjoyed chatting with her.
Well, that reminds me of another female artist that we had on that went through a lot of trouble with labels and still is actually just had a ridiculously successful crowdfunding campaign.
Well, I know Tara Naomi had a ridiculously successful one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she's
which I contributed to.
Yeah.
And I've heard some of the new songs and fucking amazing. Like they are seriously like.
Well, you know,
I'm just really excited to hear how it's going to turn out.
We've also become friends with people. Like I'm right off the top of my head, you know, like Tam is one example.
Yep.
I know James Black has been very kind to us, and I mean Tyler. How much do we love Tyler?
Of course, yeah.
Tyler's a great dude.
Of course, we're going to love Tyler and his yellow phone.
That was the first interview we ever released. I mean, Angela, I went on to Master Jacoma. I ended up working with her down the road. You know, I think you've done some work with Patrice from this. You know, so like
Patrice and I do some work. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only we've had. I guess it's not just artists we've had on the show. We've also had some behind the scenes people that we end up collaborating with down the road at some point. I mean, Chris Keaton. Let's not forget our boy Chris Keaton. C-Note.
C-Note.
I'm M-Dog and you are
RoboCop
for some reason. We had him on the show and we just fell in love with him, and he's a great dude. And, when it was time that we needed to expand our team a little bit and bring someone in to help us with sponsorship so we can keep the lights on, keep doing this, he was really great at that, and he's helped us quite a bit with that. So he was, I guess, besides you and I, he was the first person we actually brought onto our team.
Into our inner circle.
Yeah. And then that expanded to bring Christine in Infanger. I really thought it was Infanger. Infanger. We couldn't pronounce her name. And then she's now her booking agent. She's been our booking agent for the last few months now. So the show has like brought people together. I mean, there's plenty of our guests that have connected outside of our show after our show because of our show. We've also had the opportunity because of the show to talk about some important rights. Like we've had Skylar Kurgel on the show. Remember talking about LGBTQ rights and transgendered rights, and it was that was an interesting interview as well. You've probably noticed a few vegans on the show, which I have encouraged, and Ross has been okay with.
Accepted.
Terrible human being. Let's not forget Jordan Woods Robinson from The Walking
JWR.
Dead. We're just excited about what we're doing, and we want to keep expanding, and we have these wonderful people that we've connected with that want to expand with us and bringing some ideas to the table.
I just want to say watch this space because you'll see what it is when
I don't want to say, I don't want to give too
out.
much away, but it's a lot of exciting stuff. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away either. Wendy Parr, I've gone on to work with. She's great. I loved her vibe and attitude too.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Dutton actually was really interested in have her on. She was one of the first authors we had on, and she actually had Emma Roberts all about her and sharing all of her works out. So that was pretty awesome. We had Silverstein's guitarist Paul Mark on, and that was interesting because I used to play shows with him years back with his old band. Here he is. Look at you now, man, playing in Silverstein. You had mentioned Suze that we become friends with, and a lot of people that we've connected with. Yeah, I mean, I could keep going on. Ruby Roth, there was a highlight. She's I have her books for my kids, and I read it to them. So that was cool to have her on. Rick Barker, I mean, come on, he's responsible for getting Taylor Swift
for me because I've been following Rick's work for a couple of years, and I always wanted to get him on the show, but I could just never reach him. For some reason, my emails always bounce back. I think I had the wrong email address for him, which is actually the problem. No, that actually was the problem.
Was it really?
I was saying, I missed out the word music in his email address, so that caused all those problems. But no, he was great, and he actually said that he's had the best feedback from any podcast interview he's ever done is the one that he did with us, because he actually shouted us out on Facebook Live. I caught one of them, and he's like, "Oh, hey Ross," he's like, "I've got to tell you," he's like, "I've never had such good feedback from an interview I've done ever." And he's done some bigger, big shows, and that was really nice to hear that people really liked his interview.
That's one example, though, Ross? Like, we don't really get to talk about this, but a lot of our guests and prominent figures will tell us, in not just being nice, telling us it's one of their favorite interviews ever done.
Yeah, like it's the most fun they've ever had in an interview. We've had that quite a few times. I know Joan A. Williams said that. Ariel Hyatt said that.
Ariel, how do I forget Ariel? We work together too. And so, oh my gosh! But you know what? The interesting thing is there have been times when we've been ready to stop this just because of the stress, and it does help when we get, not only great feedback from our audience. That's, I think, one of the most important, but also when we have the guest on and the guest tells us, like, "Can I come back on? I want to come back on." Somewhere like Melora Hardin or someone says that, we're like, "Yeah, we'll think about it."
Yeah.
But it is a nice feeling. It does make us keep going, and I don't know how long we can keep going doing this. I hope for a long time, but, it's just going to come down to whether or not we can justify doing this, with, I know I've got a lot going on with my music in a great way, and that's exciting. And Ross, I don't want to speak for you, but you're doing really well with your web design. We want to keep doing this, but I guess it's just a matter of if we can keep doing it. So, having said that, if you do want to support us, you go over to, what's the best way for them to support us?
Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon.
Our good old faithful friend Patreon.
Yeah, just go there, and it's the best way you can support. Even if it's just $1, guys. Even if you could even choose just $1 a month, anything. It all adds up, and it just helps us. We have some costs. And, if we can at least even break even doing this, it's great. I do want to tell you that you might have noticed in the last month or so, we've suddenly become like the post-hardcore podcast.
Yeah. Not totally
intentionally, but we did want to start bringing some stuff into where our world was, right?
It's just been the way that it's worked. I mean, when we approach guests, we email. We have a list of people that we'd like to bring on the show, and we email them.
Well, let me correct you for a second. We used to email them. Christine, the wonderful Christine, emails them now and saves us hours upon hours of work a week. That used to be one of the other reasons why we said we just couldn't do the show anymore.
Yeah. So Christine emails them, and it's basically just a case of some artists, or maybe more specifically publicists and managers, are really good at getting back to emails and then scheduling a time with our handy little calendar that we give them. Others are not. So it just so happened that this month, all the post-hardcore people were like, "Yeah, totally, I'm in."
Sean Milkey, Jeremy Toles, Nate Barkalow. It was just bang, bang, bang. Justin Pierre, who has not come out yet, but I've just dropped it. I'm just have to say it. Our first interview of 2017 is going to be Justin Pierre. Sorry, what's his full name?
Justin Courtney Pierre.
That's right. Of Motion City Soundtrack. Awesome dude. I'm going to go on record and say he is, I can't really say the best, because then I'm going to be putting Nate under the table, and Nate's one of my favorites too. But I'm going to say he's definitely one of my top 3 favorite guests we've ever had on the show. And I say that with so much love. He was just such a great dude to talk to. And should we tell him what happened after our hour-long interview that we were going to cut down to 30 minutes?
So the interview itself was an hour, and then we spoke for at least another 2 hours. Yeah. We had so much shit we needed to do that day. No, it wasn't.
He didn't want to go.
So much shit to. Yeah, he did actually say, "Don't leave me."
He did say, "Don't leave me." We were having such a great time.
Yeah, we had so much shit to do that day, and of course that just happened to be the day that we ended up speaking for 2 hours longer than we planned to.
Yeah. I think what if I can even say this better on show, what I really like about it is we are giving artists an opportunity to just talk. I mean, I'm an artist as well. I've done interviews where it's like, okay, you got to cram all this stuff into 3 minutes, and the person, you don't know what they're going to ask you, or they're just going to ask you such generic questions. It's like, I wish there was a show like Bridge Atlantic for me to go on and just talk. You know what I mean? I mean, there is I've done some podcasts that are more like that. But that's just audio. So just to kind of go back a little bit, what started this was I had done a few TV interviews, but I also did a few podcasts, and in the back of my mind for a while, it was just like, I'd like to do this, just on the side. It won't be a lot of work, and just to kind of give back and interview some other artists. And that's the primary thing. And secondarily, I'm not going to lie, and Ross and I have seen this. This show has allowed us to connect with some people we never would have an opportunity with otherwise, and actually become friends with some people, which is crazy, and connect other people. So, anyways, I approached Ross in July of 2014 with this idea, and you just so happened to say, "Hey."
Yeah, because I'd been thinking about a podcast. I hadn't been thinking about video.
Right. And I
was actually very against video.
Yes, you were. I was very for video.
I know. And then I've kind of grown to like the video, and then you kind of were like, should we just do audio only?
Not because I don't like the video. That's just because the amount of work. I cannot even explain how much work it is to put the show together. And it's particularly, if that's when everything goes well. Now, when we have audio problems and we have video lag, we have all these issues, it actually adds literally hours of time. So that's why, we've been so close to stopping the show for a long time, but, knocking on wood, I think this is maybe just plywood, but
still counts.
It still counts. We've come to a point where we've got a routine, and I'm not gonna lie, I started the show originally because I just liked Ross. I thought Ross was great, and I want to do this. Like I said, I want to do some sort of show. I want to do a video show. Ross had been thinking about doing a podcast. For some reason, we aligned together, and when we first worked together. First connected, I thought he was just a great dude. Yeah, we did get along, and I kind of wanted an excuse to have a reason to chat with him every week, because otherwise it's just like, hey,
I know. Once the website's done, yeah, we did. We did, and we were on Skype. I remember one night while we were working on your website. Although I don't think we really did very much working. We just kind of hung out for like 3 hours, and it's kind of like once this website's done, there's not really that much of a reason to just be hanging out.
Exactly.
But we still did, but not as often, I think.
So anyways, long story short, that's what started this relationship between us here. And I guess what we should, we don't really have a good segue for this. We're just going to have to pop this one in. This one didn't work out, as a segue. I'll work on a segue. Here's a way segue. So, besides artists, we've gotten really good at segues, by the way. We have. Besides talking to artists, we've had the opportunity to talk to people behind the creative industries, such as music industry lawyer Ryan Kairalla.
Ryan was a great guy to talk to, and his interview is not going to be out until after this, so this is just going to give you a preview.
This is the only one, right? That's not been released yet.
Yeah. There will be, I think.
Is it? Who else did we?
Yes. Oh no, Garth as well.
Okay,
Garth.
Right.
So really, this episode is kind of a preview.
Yeah,
of what's
actually, that's right.
But with Ryan, you're gonna get a taste for what he's like. But he's not your typical lawyer. Like you think of a lawyer and you think really boring.
Well, it's like Joan A. She's also not your typical lawyer.
She's totally not. He really kind of ran with this game. I can't remember how this one turned out. So watch it and see.
All right. So I'm just going to read all three statements and you'll tell me which one the lie is, right?
Okay. Yeah. And remember, this is coming from a lawyer, everyone. So
that's right.
We've really got our stuff cut out for us here.
I lie to people for a living. It's why I make.
We just did a whole podcast interview and he just lied the whole way through it.
We fell in love with them and it's all based on lies.
All right, here we go. First one. I receive a Christmas card from my grandmother every year and she gets my name wrong on the card each time. Number 2. My favorite Christmas movie is Love Actually, and I've seen it close to a dozen times. Number 3. I once saw Chevy Chase recording a commercial in Times Square over the holidays. He pulled up in a car as I was walking, jumped out, recorded a commercial with a cameraman next to me, and immediately jumped back into his car.
This might be some of my favorites.
Ooh.
Okay, this is. Can I go first, Russ? Do you mind? Because I'm feeling it. I think the first and third one are actually right. I think they're actually real. I think that one, your grandmother gets your name wrong every time. And I'm sorry I'm laughing, but it's just too funny. And I really do think that happened with Chevy Chase. It just sounds like if you made that up in that short amount of time we gave you, I'd be pretty impressed if you made that up. So what was the second one?
My favorite Christmas movie is Love Actually.
I don't think that's your favorite music. I don't think that's your favorite movie, Christmas movie.
See, I'm actually going to say, I think number 1 is the lie. I don't think your grandmother gets your name wrong every year. I think maybe she got it wrong once, and that's where you got the idea for that answer from. But I don't think she gets it wrong every year.
Okay. The first statement is a lie.
Oh,
yes.
No.
My grandmother loves me. She would never get my name wrong. And Love Actually is a damn masterpiece. I mean, just a beautiful piece of filming.
Unbelievable. You won. Go ahead and gloat.
I won. But I'm not going to gloat.
Are you going to be a gentleman?
Yeah, I'm going to be a gentleman. Yeah.
I do want to pipe in and say, I do want to mention D. Grant Smith, just because he is the only guest we've had on that actually sent us a physical postcard. Can you guys hear that? Can you hear that? Can you hear my son crying upstairs? Yeah, River just woke up. D. Grant Smith actually sent us postcards, both of us individually, to thank us. Do you have yours around? Mine's upstairs.
Yep, I have
on my upstairs desk. Yeah, he sent us just thanking us for having him on the show, and he's been very gracious. And we already mentioned her, but Christine has been a lot of help for us, mostly for you because you used to be the one dealing with most of the bookings.
Yeah,
but she's helped both of us out.
Definitely, yeah. She's helped in probably more ways than she knows.
This is a community, not just between Ross and I in our small team but also our guests and our listeners. This is all of us together. It really is. We just happen to be the voices and the people and the two in front of the cameras. Your co-hosts, your two favorite co-hosts from the two ends of the Atlantic.
Hopefully.
One favorite co-host and then me, apparently. But Andrew DeLeon, he had some great responses early on. I want to thank our sponsors, that's for sure. I just saw Bob Baker, and I know he's become a recent sponsor of the show. All our sponsors.
Steve Palferman and so many awesome sponsors give us some money every week.
This is true.
To help us, to help this show keep going, and it is really appreciated.
It's very helpful. We should mention our record for the longest interview we ever had, I believe, was with
Steve Wen.
I thought it was Lisa Farr. Lisa Farr was well over an hour.
Steve Wen was an hour and a half.
Oh wow! Okay, so Lisa Farr's a healthy long. Second one then.
Yeah.
Steve Wen. He's a great dude. And that was a one and only interview I did not do out of my own home.
You were in the.
I was my wife's grandma's.
It seemed like you were in a cupboard.
So Delana Smith. She was a guest we had on early days. She was like 23.
Yeah, pretty early.
And she's now doing what? She's
a contestant in The Voice of Holland.
Oh, no way. So she's gone back into that world. Well, and that takes me to like Keaton Simons, which we interviewed a few times after her. And it was very interesting to know who he knew because we were just talking about how much we love Breaking Bad. And he's like, yeah, Bryan Cranston. Yeah, I know him fairly well. I'm like, oh, cool. I can't believe we've done well over 100 interviews. I really can't. It's I didn't think we'd get this far. I'm going to be completely honest.
Most shows don't. So
yeah, I would say I was ready to stop this many more times than you were. Not because I didn't love doing this. Not because I didn't love hanging out with you. It was really just because of how much time it really does take away from my musical side of things.
It's so much more than anyone would think.
Yeah, it got
like to you think. You watch an interview and it's half an hour long, but that's the end result of many hours. Yeah, many hours that go into
book the guests, doing the research, everything. Oh, God.
Any technical issues that come up before the interview, during the interview, after the interview.
Edits, like the notes that need to for the edits, and then I have to do those edits, and then sharing it online in interesting and exciting ways. And I've just simplified it. It sounds like nothing, but it's literally unbelievable amount of hours to make this happen. So if you're listening to this and I forgot to mention to you, please don't be mad. We love all of you except one or two. And we really do. We do want to remind you of where you can find us online. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Marcio Novelli. It's just my name. Also look me up on Spotify. And please do just say hi. I'm here to be a person. And what I mean by that is, everyone's nowadays can just be behind a computer screen or behind a phone, but I try to use that as a way to actually connect with people, not just to do people like a number. I want to have real, just like why we do the show, it's about real connecting and conversation with people. And I mean that both as a co-host of Bridge Atlantic and as well as a singer-songwriter, as a musician. I just want to connect. That's what it's all about. That's why I make music, to express myself as therapy and hope that that connects with somebody else and maybe helps them through something. So that's what it's all about. It really is.
Yeah. And for me, I'm on all the social meets. That sounds
no, we're
terrible.
keeping that in there. We're not cutting that out.
I'm on all the social places too. You'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as Electric Kiwi. And yeah, come and say hey. I hang out mostly on Twitter. That's my favorite place. So yeah, come and find me there. And if you want to see what I'm working on, go to electrickiwi.co.uk. And
I do want to say thank you to Chris Keaton, Joe Settineri, the Rockstar Advocate, Buck Naked Soap Company, 30 Roses, Wendy Donaldson, and Social Surge, because you keep this show alive. I know I say it every time, but it's really, really true. I do want to say before we go there, Jason Page. What a guy.
Oh, yeah.
He is the one and only person to write us a theme song.
The Atlantic, cross the ocean, bridge the Atlantic.
I'm not going to lie, that gets stuck in my head. That gets stuck in my head. I hum it. My wife looks at me like, really? So you know what? Usually we wrap up our show by saying, well, thank you for coming on. So Ross, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a real honor chatting with you today. Please do come back.
I will. And Marcio, thank you for joining me on this show. It's been a pleasure. Let's do it again sometime.
So thank you so much for tuning into this. I know it's been just mostly Ross and I rambling on, but hopefully we were able to share some insights about the last 2+ years of us doing this and give you a little behind the scenes and info into what we do. And we will be taking the next 2 weeks off. There will not be any interviews posted for the last 2 weeks of December. However,
we are going to be back in January and we've got some awesome stuff. So we're not going to tell you anything else. We're just going to hope that you stick with us and get excited for the stuff that's coming in January. So we hope you have great holidays, great New Year, and we'll be back on January 3rd. I'm sure it's January 3rd.
I think, hold on, let me check it. Yes, you're right, damn it. I shouldn't have.
January 3rd. Okay.
Of course you're right.
We'll see you guys then.
Take care.
She came wrapped up like a Christmas gift, so delicate.